Hello, I'm David Foskett. As I'm sure you know by now, I've been appointed as chair of the independent re-review panel recommended by Sir Ross Cranston in his recent reports. The work of the panel is to reassess the claims for direct and consequential loss, in other words, financial loss, sustained by customers of HBOS as a result of the fraud committed at the Impaired Assets Unit based in Reading and in London in the broad period between 2000 and 2010. It's possible that you'll have read a bit about me on the website, but let me give you a brief sketch. For about 35 years, before I was appointed a High Court judge in 2007, I was a practicing barrister. I became a QC in 1991. Much of my work involved representing both sides in damages claims. Until my retirement last year, I had been a full-time judge for very nearly 12 years. You can see the nature of the work that I did as a judge and the kind of cases I was involved in from my CV, which is on the website. A great deal of the work that I did involved the assessment of damages. I'm joined on the panel by Philippa Hill and Andrew Hildebrand, and we wanted to take this opportunity of introducing ourselves to you and explaining the work that we will be doing.
Hello, I'm Philippa Hill. I'm a partner in the Forensic and Investigations team at Grant Thornton. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, and I've worked as a forensic accountant and prior to that as a company auditor for more than 20 years. I'm a member of the review panel in my personal capacity.
Hello, I'm Andrew Hildebrand and I'm a commercial mediator. My job is to resolve disputes. Quite often, business disputes between one company and another, customer, supplier, but also to help people work through difficulties they're having inside their company with partners, stakeholders, teams, and help them resolve the problems and restore business relationships. So in a way, it's a bit like being the commercial equivalent of a marriage guidance counsellor. I'm a solicitor. Originally, I was a partner at a law firm called Mishcon de Rea, and then for 15 years, I ran the business side of different entertainment companies, such as Channel 4 and Film 4.
As I've said already, our work arises from the report of Sir Ross Cranston, known as the Cranston Review, published in December last year. He was critical of the way Lloyds Bank Group set up the customer review shortly after the end of the criminal trial in early 2017. He recommended that the process should be repeated in a fair and proper manner. In a second report published in April this year, he set out his recommendations as to how that reassessment process should be carried out, and he did that after extensive consultations. It's crucial to understand that we will be working entirely independently from the bank. We and we alone will be making the decisions in each case. Our objective is to consider each customer's case in a fair and non-legalistic manner, and to make all decisions in a fair, generous, and common sense way. The process we shall follow is an inquisitorial process. This means that we, the panel, will go about collecting the information and the documentation, assessing that documentation and information, and making our decisions based upon it. There is no onus of proof on you, the customer. We will be doing the work, albeit with assistance from you. We want to complete this process as quickly as we reasonably can, because we understand that many of you have been living with the consequences of this for a very long time. However, we're sure you understand that we must balance that objective against the need to ensure that everyone's case is considered in a careful and conscientious way.
Each case we look at will depend on its own facts, but there are essentially 3 conditions to us being able to make an award. First, we need to establish a link between the fraud, what we call the IAR fraud, sometimes called the HBOS Reading fraud, and financial losses suffered by the customer. Secondly, we need to establish what financial losses were suffered that wouldn't have been suffered if the fraud had never happened. And thirdly, those financial losses must be quantifiable. Guidance on how we approach all of these things is on the website. Our process is voluntary, which means you opt into it. In other words, you tell us if you'd like us to re-review your financial losses or D&C losses. If you do, it will be on the basis that you accept the panel's decision as final and binding. We'll be inviting customers to opt in very soon, and we'll inform customers of the cut-off date once that's been decided. We'll publish the cut-off date for opting in on the website. Once customers start opting in, we'll be able to develop a prioritization strategy for determining the order in which cases will be considered.
If you decide to opt in, at the first stage, Sir David will write to you personally, introduce the panel to you, explain our approach, and invite you to let us know anything that you have concerns about or uncertainties. We, the panel, will then start what we call our information gathering stage. And the very first thing that we'll look at is what your submissions for D&C losses were during the customer review. And the way that we're going to start that is by first looking at what you provided at the time or what was provided on your behalf. We want to make it clear that if there was no D&C losses submission made at the outset in the customer review, you will not be disadvantaged by that, and you won't be disadvantaged because we will investigate your position for you. We're aware that some customers may have information that you consider relevant to our re-review process, and we will ask you about this right at the outset, very early on in our information gathering stage. Next, we'll invite every customer to meet with us and to tell the panel their story. However, it isn't obligatory on you. If you prefer not to do so, we respect that, and we're very aware that for many of you, you will have had to tell your story a number of times and may not wish to do so. If you do wish to do so, however, we would like to meet with you, and we'll do that at a very early stage. Whether or not you'd like to meet with us, we'd be happy to receive whatever information or documents you want to send us in whatever form is easier for you. And the only other thing that I'd add is to repeat what Sir David said before, is it's not as if the onus is on you as the customer. This is our job to do.
With our team of legal and financial advisors, and taking into account all the information available at that stage, we will decide whether we can make an award. We will issue a minded to decision, in other words, a provisional decision. The minded to decision will include a clear explanation of the basis for our decision. This will go to both the customer and the bank. We will include with it all of the documents that we've relied on in arriving at the minded to decision. Once the customer and the bank have had the opportunity to challenge or respond to the minded to decision, we will review any further submissions and then, taking into account all the information to date, including those submissions, we will issue our final reasoned decision. That decision will be ours alone. The decision will be final and binding on both the customer and the bank.
I believe that between us, we can bring the right approach to this process. We understand that engaging in this process may, for many of you, bring back unhappy and unwelcome memories, in some cases perhaps traumatic memories, and that you will want this matter resolved finally as soon as possible. We understand the importance of this work from your point of view. We hope you will understand also that some aspects of our work may be difficult. The next stage will be the opt-in stage, and details of that will be put on the website very shortly. I look forward to hearing from and meeting many customers in due course. In the meantime, please read all the information there is about the re-review process on the website. If you have any questions, then please contact us through the email address info@foskettpanel.com.